Hi there guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Benjamin.
And this is Ruthie, and this is Crochet Vision. Today we're going to be recapping the 4-day long craft show.
Was it long?
It was long. And if you haven't watched the vlog of the craft show, I will link it. One of those two places. I don't know where it goes. It goes in one of those two places. I vlogged so much at the show that we had to do this craft show recap after the fact. So that's what we're going to do now.
I mean, recaps are typically done after the fact, so.
I mean, yeah, but I normally put them in one video, and it was way too long.
Yeah. It was a good weekend, though.
It was a fine weekend. It wasn't...
All right, it was okay.
It was fine, sales-wise. The weekend itself was great. We had a great time.
Right.
Sales were not good. And I think that there are a lot of contributing factors as to why they weren't as good as what they normally would have been at this show, or at least what they were last year.
Yeah, there was definitely a bunch of things.
A bunch of things. The first thing that I think was the biggest contributing factor to sales being very different this weekend at this show was they changed the weekend. Apparently, this is the second time they've changed the weekend. The first time it used to be Mother's Day. Then last year, it was the weekend right before Mother's Day. So people were in the shopping mood for Mother's Day and getting Mother's Day gifts.
Right.
And this year, they moved it up another weekend. And a lot of the kids were still on vacation. So people were in vacation mode. They weren't in shopping mode. And just as you have to... When you're a vendor, you set up your schedule for the year and basically you're trained of which shows are going to be on which weekend. You also have to train the customers as well that they are in the mood and they have a reason to buy things. And that's what a lot of the other vendors said is like, they're all on vacation mode. They're not in I have to shop for Mother's Day mode. They're still in vacation. So I think that was a huge contributor to sales.
Even not from that perspective of it, whenever you have an event that people schedule their calendars around, period, when you change it, there's going to be people that can no longer go.
Right.
There was definitely a lot less people this year
true.
Than last year. And last year had 2 days of crappy weather.
Oh, yeah.
And this year we only had crappy weather at night.
Right.
So the fact that we had better weather and there were less people was definitely a contributing factor as well.
Yeah. And I mean, there used to be a fair that my family and I would like plan to go to every year. And I did it a few years ago. And it was before Columbus Day was no longer a thing. It was Columbus Day weekend and it was the Columbus Day Fair. Now they've named it the name of the town fair, but it's the same weekend every year. It's the second weekend of October. That's when this craft show is going to be. It's Saturday, Sunday, and they have like a carnival Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they keep it that same weekend in October every year for like 30, probably more years.
Yeah, I was about to say, basically my whole life.
My whole life. So you schedule it. And if they move that weekend up a year, I'd be thrown off and probably wouldn't go. You
wouldn't even know about it.
No.
Because they even have people that come to that fair from out of town.
Right.
So unless you're putting it out there like, hey, we're changing the
weekend.
Such and such day fair.
And they didn't
fair,
they didn't advertise that they were switching the date of this one really well. I don't feel like it was advertised well at all, which it had been in the past. Like everybody knows when the show is or when it's supposed to be, and them switching it really messed a lot of it up.
And we got that not even just from other vendors. We spoke to the staff at the hotel we stayed at.
Oh, yeah.
We spoke to the servers and the hostesses and hosts at the different restaurants we went to. Like every place we went, we spoke to people like, hey, how are the crowds for you right now as compared to years prior? What are your reservations look like for next weekend? And they said that they saw a noticeable difference in the amount of reservations that they had for both weekends. Neither of them had as much as they had previously. And that just cuts money out for everyone that's involved.
The rumor is that this town is going to be getting rid of this event in its entirety, which would be a real shame. It used to be a really good show, and they also have a fall one that's supposed to be even better, but they're talking about getting rid of that one in 2 years as well. Right. And they moved the date of that one last year, which the way that they moved the date of that show, of the fall show, was one of the reasons why I didn't do the fall show last year. They moved it to be the same weekend as Sea Witch, and Sea Witch, it's this huge, like in Rehoboth Beach, it's this huge festival. It was the exact same weekend, and it's like 30 minutes up the road. Why? It was very poor planning on all parts. But the hotel last year, all of the hotels had no vacancy. This weekend, all of the hotels had
Vacancies.
availability.
Yeah.
When you switch the weekend of a show, and I should have known, and I should have not done it, but I learned a lesson. The other thing and the drama that happened, and this for me is completely on the coordinator, and this whole thing has put such a bad taste in my mouth. When you sign up for this show, you get your same spot year after year after year if you pay, right? So we had the exact same spot we had last year. I was the only crocheter last year. We are in these giant tents. There's at least 20 vendors per tent, right?
There are exactly 20 vendors per tent, and there's 10 tents.
I think there's 8 tents.
Maybe. No, there's 10 because you got the big one along the back too.
Oh, okay. I was talking about just vendors, so that's food.
Okay, yeah. So you've got
there's eight vendor tents.
Vendor tents that each have 20 booths inside them, and then there are also spaces available outside those tents where people can provide their own tents.
Which, oh gosh, the price difference for bringing your own tent versus being in the big tents, it was more expensive to bring your own tent, which kind of is surprising to me because our spaces are bigger.
Our spaces are bigger, but their spaces are like prime spots. Their spaces are along the outside of the food area. Everyone is going to hit the food area at some point, whether it's when you're first coming in or you're getting food or you're watching that stage. But everyone's going to hit that area at some point. Not everyone is going to hit every single time.
But not necessarily. There were some vendors that had those spots that were set up on the back of us, outside the tent, not by the food. They paid the exact same price. Where like Xfinity was and the Bloody Mary lady.
But most of those tents are in prime spots.
Right. Most of them. But again, if I paid that much and I was I was the Bloody Mary lady behind us, I'd have been upset. Space was 10 by 11 and a half. And we paid one price. And if you had a 10 by 10 outside and you were basically right on the back side of us, it was like double what we paid. And
like literally 5 feet away from us.
Yeah, I'd have been upset. But there are so many tents and there are so many spots. And there were over 4 empty spots this weekend because if you pay, you will get your same spot next year. So a lot of vendors paid this exorbitant fee for this show and then won't show up if they have a conflict or if they can't be there because you have to be there all 4 days. You can't just skip a day. And so there were 4 empty spots and there was another crocheter. And again, I don't have a problem with there being another crocheter, but she was diagonally across from me. Like
in the same tent.
In the exact same tent, 3 booths away. And so that was very poor planning on the coordinator's part. When I spoke to the coordinator, she goes, "Oh, they must have not juried that in. I will check their sheet when we get home. They're photography. They're definitely photography. They are not crochet. I will check their sheet, and if that is the case, those products will not be there the next day." And I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Like, if they snuck it in, that's an acceptable answer. And then the next day, opening day on Thursday, the coordinator avoided me the entire day. I had people try to call for her for me like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, what is going on? I called her phone, no answer, nothing. And she eventually, by the end of the day, finds me and was like, no, they did jury it in. They didn't send any pictures of it, but it was written down on their sheet. She's like, I messed up. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry? That's not a good enough answer. I paid so much money. Like, this is my most expensive show that I do, period. And that's not an acceptable answer. And she's like, well, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm like, no, we're not going to see how this shakes out. Something has to be done. So nothing ended up getting done. It was fine. And the thing that made it even worse, and it was a complete misunderstanding, but one of the people from their booth kept coming up and looking at the prices of my things. I thought because they didn't talk to me at all, it felt really shady. And then I would see them go back over to their stuff and we're like adjusting with their stuff. It turns out that their daughter was shopping and she's very socially awkward and she's young. I thought she was coming over to check our prices and then adjust their prices, which is shady. So we talked about it. It ended up being completely fine. That wasn't the case. They are very, very sweet and very, very lovely. And
yeah, everyone from their booth was super nice.
So kind, so nice. And had the coordinator come up to me on the first day and been like, look, I messed up. This is what happened. Like, before the show started, we were there 2 hours early. Had that been addressed beforehand, it would have calmed everyone's mind. It would have been a lot better. But it's fully on the coordinator. She avoided me all morning for me to be pissed off to be like, why, if they didn't jury this in, why is it still out? The coordinator said she would take care of it, and then she didn't and avoided me, and it's because she messed up and she didn't want to talk to me about it.
Right. And when we spoke with the other people, they were upset that there
Right.
was another crocheter in the same tent as them as well.
They were just as upset. And again, I don't care that they were there. Like,
right.
there was
there's tons of people that do paintings there. There's tons of people that do photography, jewelry.
So,
like, we're not saying
that
we
there
should have been the
couldn't have
only
been
crocheters.
any other crocheters.
The reason we were upset is because we were put in the same tent as the other people. When you have a juried event, a part of the jurying process is to make sure that people who have similar products are not near each other. That way they both get the opportunity to sell to people.
And again, we had some different stuff. She had cats. I don't really do cats. Like, we had different stuff. There was more than enough room for both of us to be there.
It was also slightly different styles.
Right. We have completely different styles. She had dinosaurs. I really didn't have dinosaurs. She had more cats. I had like 3 that I randomly made. It would have been fine. But had the coordinator... I paid a $50 jury fee for this event. You pay that fee whether you get into the event or not. That is for the coordinator. That's their job, to put people who have like things far away from each other.
Or if there's too many of one type,
right.
to tell the new person, hey, sorry, we've already got 5 jewelry bracelet vendors.
Right.
Like, we can't add a 6th.
And
that's the whole purpose. This person's getting paid $50 to review all the applications, review the pictures, the list, and say, yep, in, not in.
And it's a really competitive show to get into the show. And the other vendors were just as upset because they said the exact same thing. They didn't care that both of us were there. But I was in tent 5. Put him in tent 8. Put him in tent 1. Like, just separate us out. Even
the next tent
over. The next tent over. I wouldn't have cared.
Same tent, we could see each other's items, like, from the tent. We were 3 booths away diagonally. Like, we were literally looking at each other. Right. And it's like, this is dumb. And we saw numerous times people would go from one, they'd look over and be like, oh, that looks cool. They'd walk over there, and then they wouldn't buy from either person. And then they'd just walk away. And it's like, it's
or they'd
so
go back and forth between who had the better price or who had a color that they wanted. Like, it was frustrating. And that really ruins the morale of the show for both parties. It wasn't just us. I know that they were upset too, because they were literally, they came in and they were like, I don't know why they put us in the same tent. I'm like, I really want to stress, it doesn't matter that there was more than one crocheter at this show. The problem was that we were pretty much right across from each other.
We were literally 20 feet away from each other.
Right.
And visible to each other.
Right.
With every show, we've got good things, we've got ugly things, we've got middle of the road things, we've got super cute things. We're going to talk about one of the ugly things. It's just a bad look on people.
Well, it's just, I don't think I've ever had a show where it happened this many times in a row.
Right.
And it's like the audacity of some of these people. How?
It's wild.
What?
It's kind of wild.
I had more than one woman, and this one instance in particular was just so rude. She came up and she was like, do you have hand pain? And I'm like, no. She goes, you will. Here. How, like, even so, why would you say that to someone?
And we had other people
and why would you wish it on someone?
Right. We had other people come up and be like, you're going to have carpal tunnel in a couple years. It's like,
I used to do this stuff. I had this arm done, and now I have to get this arm done next month because of carpal tunnel, so I don't crochet anymore.
Please don't tell us that.
Please
don't say that to somebody.
Please don't wish that on me either. Like, that, it's the audacity. I was mind blown. What is wrong with you? Like, I'm so sorry that you have hand pain and that you had carpal tunnel and that arthritis, and I know there's a lot of stuff that could happen, but why would you go up to a vendor at a craft show and say, you're gonna have hand pain? Why would you wish that on somebody?
That's no different than going
so
up to somebody and saying, oh, you're going to have X disease when you get older.
You're going to get cancer.
Yeah. And people came up to me and said it too. Or like they were walking away like, she's going to have arthritis in a couple years. Yeah. Like, so mind your business.
Why does that affect affect you at all? No, go away.
She's going to have arthritis in a couple years? All right, well, buy one of her things. That way the arthritis is worth it. Like,
it was...
And almost every single one of those people said it and then walked away and didn't, like, buy anything. They just, I'm going to throw my negativity out there and then walk away. Like,
all day Saturday, I was in such a piss poor mood because it just kept happening. And I went over to one of my friends, I went over to tie-dye, and I was like, are you having issues with people today? She goes, no, the people are on something else today. I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. I was like, I've had the most rude interactions with people because they weren't even customers. I've had the most rude interactions with people. She's like, girl, same. Same. I had one woman, I'm not paying $55 for your frog. So don't and walk away, please. Like,
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I understand, but your attitude, like the attitude of the people at this show was just like...
Honestly, it was entitlement.
It was on a completely different level.
It was just a sense of entitlement.
Oh, my goodness.
Cool. You don't need to pay. Like, no one's forcing you to pay $55 for this particular frog. And guess what? Someone else bought it.
Someone else did. And also... you saying it like that is not going to get me to lower the price.
Right.
That's only going to say, oh, well, actually for you it's 60, not 55 anymore. Like, the people were they drove me nuts.
I don't think I've ever raised a price on somebody before because they were rude, but I've definitely told them, I'm not selling to you, please leave. Some people were just so rude. It was
wild.
Yeah.
It was wild. And honestly, I expected to hear a lot more of, oh, well, her prices are cheaper over there. Or, oh, I'm going to go get one from over there. It wasn't even that.
Nope. Actually, I think their prices were more than ours.
I think they were. But she had some smaller stuff that was cheaper.
Oh, but yeah, we don't really have the small.
But even so, I didn't hear a ton of that. The rude was just blatant rude.
Yeah.
Blatantly rude.
It was
wild. Don't be that person. It was rude. Don't do it.
Yeah, people were
Don't
crazy.
be that person.
People were just kind of crazy.
Also, I want your guys' opinion. Please tell me what you say in the comments because I keep hearing, oh, I can do that. Oh, Janice can do that. Oh, Carol can do that. Oh, my sister-in-law twice removed can do that. Okay.
Awesome.
What
cool, good for them.
What do you respond with when people say that to you? Like, congratulations. Like, I don't know what they want me to say.
I just say, oh, cool.
Cool. Oh my God, amazing. And it's different when there's an 11-year-old who comes in because I just started. I'm like, that to me is different. But when you're a grown adult saying, oh, my sister makes these. Cool.
Yeah.
I can do this.
My typical response is, oh, well, we sell our patterns.
Right, I have my patterns.
Like almost all the things here are my wife's own designs. So if your friend, loved one, whoever it is interested, here's our card. Like, we sell our patterns online. They'd be more than happy to.
So many people crochet. I don't know what people are expecting me to say anymore because at one point it was like a rare thing, but now it's literally everyone does. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm like, what actually am I supposed to say? Because I don't know.
Yeah. And almost always, the people that do it themselves are super sweet.
So nice. It's the ones who have family members or somebody else who can do it that aren't. Exactly.
I had one woman this weekend. So, different recap that we're going to be doing at another point.
Right after this video.
Right. I had another woman. Actually, you know what? I'll save it. I'll save it to the next recap.
Okay. On the note of people being absolutely absurd and out of their minds at this show, go ahead, Ben, and tell your story. I hate this story.
I don't know, like, where to start with this story. But it was a pretty much exclusively me story.
Mm-hmm. Exclusively you, because she wouldn't talk to me or look at me or anything.
Right.
It was weird.
So...
Ben got hit on.
By a woman who's old enough to be my mom.
Yep.
So, the very few times in my life that I've been hit on by somebody else, I was super oblivious to it almost every single time. This time, it was so blatantly obvious. I just, okay. So, our booth was set up on an L. Sarah would stand at this portion of the tent. I was standing at this portion of the tent, and people could walk along the outside and see all of our stuff. And then the back area, we could put whatever we wanted. If you've seen the video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, Sarah is up at the front corner of the booth, helping people. This woman and her two friends walk through the tent, the big tent aisle, and they pass Sarah and walk over to where I am on the opposite side of the booth. And they're looking at stuff, and this woman's talking to me, and she's like, oh my God, I love that flamingo. And Sarah hears flamingo, and she had another one up on her side, so she grabbed the one that she had so that we could give this lady as many options as possible.
Because I did not have very many, and now I'm sold out.
I think we had 3.
Yeah, I think so.
And we had one that was like a light pink one. We had this hot pink one, and then we had a pink and yellow one. The one the woman was looking at was this pink and yellow one, and I held up this hot pink one, and she goes, no thanks. I like the yellow and pink one. It matches the room in my new condo. And I was like, oh, okay, that's so cool, blah, 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 blah. You know, just doing the whole salesperson thing.
Ben is just very kind.
Right. I'm trying to get you to buy a plushie that is absolutely a luxury item.
And the flamingos are $45. Like, they're not cheap.
It's not a small little thing that costs $5. Like, I'm trying to get you to buy our product.
Like, I make them out of the Sweet Snuggles. They're like this big. Like, they're pretty big.
Right. So I'm just being my normal salesman kind of, yeah. And so she decides on that yellow and pink flamingo, and we accept tap to pay on our phones, like a lot of small businesses do now. If someone wants to use the tap to pay, it's phone to phone. So I'm holding out my phone, and she taps it face down, and the ding goes off, and she goes, oh, I love that. It's like we just mated. And I'm like, I'm not sure my wife would like that. And she's like right over there, and she goes, it's okay, she can watch. And I was beyond flustered. I was like, I just got hit on by a woman old enough to be my mother.
And she was very pretty. But
and
it was
my normal, like,
not appropriate
excuse, like, please leave me alone, of my wife is right there, just did not faze her at all. And I was like, okay. And so at this market that we were at, they have a lot of shows that you need tickets to get into, like concerts that you need specific tickets to get into. And we were right next to that tent area where they have those concerts. And there was one that was going to be starting in like a half hour. And she goes, oh, we're going to see the show. Can I leave this here with you? And we do that. We understand, like, we have shows that are at the beach. People don't want their stuff to get sandy. We've got people that are going to go to a restaurant. They don't want to bring it in with them. Like, we will hold on to stuff that people have purchased for them, no problem. So I gave, like, without even thinking, I just said my normal thing. Oh, here's our business card. Write your name and phone number on it. We'll put it in the bag. We'll keep it back here for you. That way, God forbid anything happens and you can't get back here, we can contact you and figure out some way of getting it to you. We don't want anyone to ever buy something from us and then not have it for whatever reason. That's not a good look for us. It's not fun for them. Like, we don't want that to happen. I didn't even think about it. I said, here's the business card. Write your name and phone number on it. I'll put it in the bag. I give her the whole spiel. She writes her name and phone number on it, gives me a little look as she puts it in the bag. I put it back in the spot behind the booth. As soon as this woman walks away, I go over and I tell Sarah what just happened. And Sarah's like, I saw her walk past me and then get over to you. And I was like, yeah, I saw her walk past
She beelined for Ben.
And so I was like, okay, whatever. It's fine. It's done with. She's going to come back to get her stuff, and we're going to give it to her, and that's going to be the end of it. And so...
And I was like, why did you take her phone number? Why did you...
Because I did my normal... I did our normal thing.
Because you're so cute.
I didn't even think about it. I was just like, that's just what we do. Name, phone number, put it in the bag. Something happens, we can call you. And we have had it where we've needed to call someone. We had it one time before we started taking phone numbers where the person didn't show up, and the show ended at like 8 or 9 at night, and there was a storm coming in, and we packed up as fast as possible. The person never showed up.
Right.
They showed up the next day, thankfully, and picked up their item, so that was good. So we started taking phone numbers after that, and we had another one at the same location where there was a storm coming in, and we called the person. We said, hey, like, there's a storm coming in. We gotta go. Are you able to come pick up your item, or do you want us to hold on to it? And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving tonight. I can't come back right now. We're like 3 miles away from you. We're not going to get there before the storm comes in. So we held on to it. We met them somewhere else in town to give them their item.
Right.
Like, that's...
Right. It's what we'll do.
That's why we take the phone number.
Right.
So I didn't even think about it. And then that happened. So Our tent is right next to the concert tent. We hear the whole concert happen. The bass is obnoxiously loud as always, but whatever. After the concert ends, like half hour later, she comes walking through the tent again. She could have gone to Sarah very easily to get the item. Goes right past Sarah and walks up to me.
And this wasn't like at nighttime, like before we were closing. This was in the middle of the day. Like it wasn't one of the expensive paid for concerts that they have going on there. It was just like in the middle of the day.
It was a paid for concert, but it wasn't like the big, it wasn't like the headliner of the day. Each day at like 7 p.m. or whatever it is, they have a headliner, and those concerts are huge. So she walks right past Sarah, comes right up to me again, and her friends, like I could tell they were a little tipsy. Like her friends actually had drinks in their hands. And
you're allowed to. They're selling drinks at this show.
Yeah, like they had drinks in their hands. Like they were a little tipsy. So like, okay, whatever. But she comes up to me again. She's like, oh, can I get my flamingo that matches my condo? She's like very, very adamant, deliberately throwing out their new condo multiple times throughout this conversation. Throughout both conversations.
She wanted you to go with her to the condo.
I'm well aware of that now. I almost at one point earlier said what you usually say when it comes to the big sea turtle. I'd love to get a picture of it in someone's condo. Almost said it, and then I realized what was happening and stopped myself from that one.
So what I say, and someone is working on sending me a picture. I have that giant crab and that giant rainbow sea turtle, and all I want is for someone to love it so much that they literally just want it in their beach house. So like they'll like lay it on a bed in the beach house or something like that. And one woman literally just bought the giant crab that I have for her beach house. And I was like, would you send me a picture? She goes, yes, I will. So it's just something.
Right. And so we've said it or she has said it before. I've never said it before, where like, when people say, oh, this matches the decor of my whatever, like, oh, can you send me a picture with it? Like, some people have sent them, and other people are like, okay, and then just don't, which is totally fine. Like, we leave it as an open-ended question. That way, if they're comfortable with it, they can. And I almost said it, and then I was like, nope, didn't say it, thankfully. But so she comes back, she picks up the flamingo, and the bags that we put the stuff in are clear plastic bags. We do that on purpose. We want people to see our products going around the event, so they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Where'd you get it from?
It's free advertising.
It's literally free advertising. So you can see what's in the bag. It's clear. I hand her the bag, and as she's walking away, I see her like ruffling through it. She was looking for her card with her name and phone number on it, which thankfully I had the foresight to leave in the bag. Did I tell you when she wrote her name, she made the dot in the eye of heart?
No!
Yeah.
What was her name?
I'm not saying it on here,
okay.
but I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But if you're watching this...
I didn't appreciate it!
No. I appreciate the compliment.
I don't! She said it would have been fine if I was there!
Well,
no,
again,
I don't share.
I appreciate...
He's mine.
I appreciate the compliment. I do not appreciate the... execution of it. So, that was my most interesting story. And I think that's the end of the bad/ugly/meh.
But we've got... Well, I guess it's kind of more cool than bad or meh.
So last year at this event, we had 2 days where there was a lot of rain.
Oh my God.
It was just crappy. We put a tarp up, and the rain was just blowing against the tarp. It was freezing cold. So we were prepped for that this year.
Yes.
This year, it was sunny. It was warm. There was wind. The only rain we had was overnight.
And it was really, really bad. Right. I bought these clear tent walls on Amazon, which I somehow can't find where we put them since we got back. And we could have used them this weekend. I got these clear tent walls, and they worked really well. I've also seen people use clear...
shower curtains.
Thank you. Shower curtains. And just so that way I could still have it open, because I've had a few shows last year and this year now where people will still shop in the rain. It could be torrentially downpouring.
People shop almost more in the rain because they get to be inside the big tents and not in the rain.
And they were mad. Like, I had people that were mad that I closed down because of the rain. So we have these clear tent walls. I loved them. They worked so well. Overnight, apparently. Now, granted, we got there at our normal time. We didn't get there early. My neighbor Ilka, who we adore, got there very early. And apparently there was a ton of sand and water. I mean, there was giant puddles and you could see it inside the tent. And so she took my big spinner and pulled it into her tent, was sweeping water out with a broom from both sides of my tent. We had everything up on like risers, so that way it wasn't a riser. It was
it's fine. A riser, basically.
It's basically a riser, so because we knew that we would flood. Right. So when we got there, there was water.
We had nothing on the ground that wasn't a piece of metal or a piece of plastic of some type, whether it was a chair leg, a table leg, a tote that had nothing in it and then had other things on top of it. Like, nothing that could get damaged for us was left on the ground. Now, this puddle that formed on both sides of the wall that separated our booth and Ilka's booth. So this puddle, like, was a both of us problem.
Right. And
she's a wonderful woman. She was, like Sarah said, sweeping it out with a broom.
And got the Zamboni there before I got there.
Right.
We ended up calling the Zamboni back because there was a whole other flood in the other crocheters tent, unfortunately. And they didn't lose anything also, thank God. Water,
giant,
like just so much
10,
water.
15-foot puddles across that have 1 to 2 inches of water in them.
And so they saw theirs and they had to move stuff around to get to them. So they were going to come to mine first and then go to theirs. And for theirs, the guy literally like backed up into their tent.
They pulled all of their tables out.
Because they had to. It was their whole tent was flooded.
The way they had their booth set up, they had stuff hanging on the walls, and then they had 2 or 3 tables. So for them, it was really easy. They could just pick up the tables and move them. For us, we had grid wall and tables and all kinds of stuff.
And what she told me too, they were really worried because they saw a hole in the top of the tent right above them.
Ooh.
And they were concerned that they were going to have like damage of their paintings or anything like
Right.
that. And I was like, that's really unacceptable. And if something like that happens or you see something like that, you need to let the coordinator know. Mm-hmm. Because especially when you're doing an event where you don't pay for the tent, it's their responsibility. It's not yours. And if that damages your stuff, they're liable. That's how that works.
Right. So the Zambonis were really cool. It was
so cool. I've never seen anything like it.
To vacuum out all the water, the sand, the pollen, all that crap that was in there.
Because it was yellow. It was gross.
Our booth had that big puddle. They vacuumed out ours with the Zamboni. Then they went over to the other booth. There must have been another large puddle that was like slightly connected to the puddle that was in ours because
it kept refilling.
It refilled twice. Yeah. And they came back with a shop vac and then the Zamboni another time. But after the third time of it getting vacuumed out, it stayed dry. So that was really cool.
They did not do that the year before. Last year we had some bad rain and issues and we were just flooded the whole time. So I don't know if this was new. Or maybe it was.
If the rain's still coming down, you can't vacuum it out.
I mean, that's fair.
Like the rain's still coming down.
But even afterwards, once it wasn't raining, we had a puddle in that tent for the whole time.
Yeah, the whole parking lot was a puddle though.
Zamboni and shop vac.
You're not gonna Zamboni the whole parking lot.
I don't know. It was really cool though. I've never seen anything like it. It was, and the guys were so great. Yeah, and they had brooms cool. And I never would think of sweeping water, but apparently
I've swept water.
Okay.
So the first cool/cute story from this weekend, Sarah was walking around or doing something, so it was just me in the booth. And this guy walks up, and he's probably about my age, maybe a little bit older. And he walked right up to the axolotls, the little ones that we have. And he goes, "Are those axolotls?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "My daughter loves axolotls." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like, and we're talking about the axolotls. And at one point he goes, he goes and he pulls out his keys and he goes, "My daughter crocheted me this little axolotl." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." And I hadn't looked at it yet. And he goes, "No, it's not really that cool. It's really ugly, but I love her. And she was really proud of it." And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, no, that's cute, dude." And he's like, "You don't have to lie." And I was like, "Nah, dude, it's really cute that she made that for you." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's not cute." And you know what, dude? You were right. It was not cute, but your daughter made it for you, and she
You were
really
being
liked
a good
it.
dad.
Yeah, that's cool as hell that you keep that on your keychain.
And he bought an axolotl.
And he bought an axolotl for his
her.
daughter. And to be fair, I would have thought it was cool and cute that he did that whether or not he bought the axolotl from us. Just throwing that out there. So that was the first thing that I had.
I really have a lot of cutesy stories from this show. I was pissed off most of this show.
You got one.
Oh my god, the dog. Oh my god. So I have never, ever in my life seen so many dogs in strollers.
Oh, yeah. And so many strollers.
Many.
So many of those strollers had multiple dogs in
2
them.
to 3 dogs in the strollers. Like, great. It's an outdoor
And they
event.
were not all small dogs.
They were not all small dogs. There were some big dogs and some small strollers. There was a lot. However, there was this one dog, and she was wearing a dress, and it was very, very cute. She had a mohawk. And the mother goes, I don't cut it that way. It just grows that way. We can't stop it. We've tried. There's a monkey in a stroller.
I saw a monkey in a stroller.
I was not there for it. I missed it.
The woman came up and she was like, do you guys have any monkeys? And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, okay. I ask everywhere. And I saw the stroller and I was looking at it and I was like, is that a monkey? And she's like, that's why we want stuffed animal monkeys. Yes. And then she told me their TikTok name. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was something Paisley.
Yes.
Paisley something?
Paisley the monkey?
Maybe.
Anyway.
Paisley the monkey, I think. Something like that on TikTok.
There was also a ferret. There's a guy
there's a ferret.
walking around with the ferret. Do you remember?
On a leash.
On the leash, yeah.
He's just...
Ferret burying itself in the sand, playing in it. It was adorable.
Yeah. But yeah, the Mohawk dog was super cool. It was there like 2 days in a row, I think. And the first day we were like, oh, that's so cute. But like just to each other as they were walking by. And then the next day they came and stopped. And that was when we found out that they don't cut the dog's hair like that. It just naturally grows that way. It was so funny.
That was great.
So cute.
It was, oh my God, so cute. There were
so many dogs.
So many dogs in stroller. Well, our game that we play at craft shows is we point out the dogs to each other. That's just what we do. But so many dogs in strollers. Like, I've never seen that many dogs in strollers in my life. There was easily 50 a day. Easily. So there was one little girl. I don't even remember what she wanted.
I don't know. It was one of the like medium items. It wasn't a small item. It wasn't a giant one.
She was obsessed with it. She had it in her hands and she goes, Daddy, how could you say no? It was so cute. And they bought it.
The dad had been saying no, and she goes, Daddy, how could you say no? And then he was like, all right, fine.
In the same realm,
we had another kid walk up to his dad, and he goes, Mommy says we have to ask you. And then he holds it up, and he goes, Daddy, please. It's so cute.
Mommy says we have to ask you.
I don't remember if they bought it or not, but it was cute.
I don't remember either, but it was so funny.
And right after one of the times that someone had come up and said something about arthritis or carpal tunnel to Sarah was like, she was in a bad mood after that. Like, and this woman walks up.
She had overheard it, and she goes, Girl, even on your worst day, you are fabulous. I couldn't do any of this.
Yeah. So
it was really kind. We had a lot of people who were just really kind.
I feel like our products just kind of bring the cute and the nice out of people.
Or at least I hope so, because we had some ugly lists at this show, and it was it was rare. Normally we don't have a lot of that, and this show it was just like
the only like
crazy
ugly that we ever get besides this show is like people will walk up, look at the price, and be like, ugh. and then they're like someone will be like, yeah, but it's handmade, and they're like, oh
yeah. A lot of times recently, if like when people question the price, I'm standing there crocheting. So it's really that's another one. They're like, do you make these? I'm like,
literally right now.
Crochet hook in hand. Yeah.
Just what it is. But, you know.
We love the cute stories too. So we write them down as the show happens.
Yep.
I brought hats to the show because we sold a ton of ear warmers last year because it was cold. We were selling hats in May in glorious sunshine and rainbows, and I did not understand. So I may now be just bringing hats to my events because we were at the beach and we sold like 6 hats.
Yeah.
On top of ear warmers, which also
the ear warmers
sold.
always sell for us.
Yeah.
When we bring them, but they were.
It was
The hats were moving.
The
hats were moving.
weird. I sold a lot of my bucket hats
Yep.
to one lady who bought 4 of them.
Yep.
Love you. Thank you so much. And they look great on her. She came back the next day. She goes, I kept thinking about that one. I need it.
And she bought it.
She bought it.
So we had this other woman come up and she bought a bunch of ear warmers. I don't even remember how many it was.
I don't remember. It was a bunch.
And as she had some conversations
Like,
with Sarah.
It was very clear it was like mother and daughter.
Yeah.
And like the daughter was probably my age. And so she walks away and she goes up to her daughter and her daughter goes, how many did you buy? And she goes, I'm not telling. And she says she'll make me whatever I want.
Because she had asked for like some item that we didn't have, and Sarah was like,
No, she wanted different colors. Like she's like, can you make them custom?
Oh,
like,
yeah. So Sarah had given her the card, and this woman, she was just so happy with the fact that she got a bunch of ear warmers. She's like, she'll make me whatever I want.
It was precious.
Yeah. So we had this woman that came up to us, and she was like, I bought a crab from you last year, and it was the absolute fan favorite. Everyone that's seen it has loved it. Well, this year, and she grabbed one of the big frogs that we had, this is the new fan favorite. I already know.
I don't think it was the big one. I think it was the small one because they look the same. I think because it's the same pattern. It's a 2-in-1 pattern. My crab and my frog pattern are 2-in-1. I think it was the small one.
No. It was a big one.
It was?
It was one of the big ones with the big eyes that you made.
Oh.
Because last year, I remember her. Last year, she bought a bigger crab.
Oh.
And this year, she bought the bigger frog.
Here's something else we could talk about. Go right into it, why don't we? Last year, I sold out of Charlie the Crab, my big crab, on day 1. I brought like 6 of them, something like that. I brought a bunch of them. They sold out on day 1. I brought a bunch this year because they sold so fast last year. We sold 1.
We sold 1.
We sold 1. I made so many crabs. We sold 1.
We sold a bunch at an next show, though.
Yeah,
But it's just kind of like...
That's a story for that show.
Yeah. Well,
but
little teaser.
Little teaser. But I it's really funny to me because I have a friend who literally she's a jewelry vendor, so it's a little bit different than what we do. But she keeps a list of what she sells at every show, and we've been trying to do that more and more. And that way, when she's prepping for that show, she'll be like, oh, I have to make more of this. I sold out of that. Or, oh, I have to make more of this. I sold out of that. I knew I had sold out of crabs, so I made a bunch more of them. Nope. 1. So that doesn't work for everybody. No. I was like, how? I was so like the year before I was sewing them in the hotel room overnight to bring more of them. Nope. This show is just another instance of I cannot stress how important it is to have to make friends with your neighbors and just be kind to the people who are around you. I thought my neighbors at this show last year hated me, and it wasn't the case. I just took the place of their best friend as well. And so this year, all of us were really close because you're spending hours on end with these people, right?
You're literally spending 4 days straight with these people all day.
And this show is long. It was from 10 to 8 every day for 4 days. So one of them, my one neighbor has a microwave. So if we needed to microwave food, or she was selling the heating pads, basically. Thank God, because the last day my shoulder was acting up like crazy, and she didn't even, Ilka, I love you. She didn't want me to pay for the heating pad. I was fighting her to pay for the heating pad, and she every hour she'd come over and she'd check on me, you want me to heat it up? Do you want me to throw it in the microwave? Are you okay? How are we doing? It was just... It was so sweet. Our neighbor 2 over, she had a step stool and we needed a step stool. The cutting board people, it was just
and
be nice to your neighbors.
Right. They helped us out. I'm tall,
so
I can reach
yeah.
stuff that other people need the step stools for. So I went over a couple times and just moved stuff for them. That way they didn't have to go to their car, get their step stool, and
this was just a really big event of, and our neighbor needed something picked up at a hotel, and so Ben ran and did that for her. It's just being kind to your neighbors and making friends with the people around you is so important at Crouchers. The last day, my one neighbor, her mom was in the hospital, and she had to run and needing to take phone calls. So I was watching her booth for her. And like things like that just kept happening. So I just can't stress it enough. It's so important to be kind and make friends with your neighbors.
Yeah, be kind. Rewind.
Just be kind.
It's a blast from the past.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I was talking about that with someone else the other day. I was like, I remember VHS tapes, Be Kind, Rewind.
Yes. I also, at the show, I had a lot of you guys come up to me and say hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. If you do see me out and about in public or at the Sheep and Wool Festival or at this show or at a different show, please, I am a very awkward human being, but come on up and say hi. I love meeting you guys. So thank you.
I had someone come up to me and be like, you're Ben. That means Sarah's here. And I was like, yeah, she is. So
I was not there at the moment, but
she was not there at the moment, but she was there in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love meeting you guys. You know, it's fun. Say hi.
Say hi.
If you want to take a picture, we'll take a picture with you. That's it.
Yep. Something that we did at this show that we have not done before, and I'm so glad we did, was get QR codes. I have a QR code for my patterns. I have a QR code for YouTube.
Instagram,
website. So I saw an uptick in sales overnight from the show, from people scanning the patterns, and I could see how many people scanned the QR code, and it did make a difference. And I'm really glad we did that because, again, I'm constantly hearing, oh, I crochet too, or this one crochets. So having the instant thing of if they see something they like, they don't have to go hunting for the pattern. I have it for you. And that really was helpful for me. So if you sell patterns and you're doing craft shows, I definitely recommend doing that. It made a difference.
Yep. Just make sure that you don't sign up for a trial for the QR code and that they're going to lock your QR code later. Yeah. Because we ended up having that happen.
Yeah.
They gave us a free 14-day trial with the QR codes. I didn't realize it was a 14-day trial, and in this past show that we were at, all of a sudden the codes weren't working.
Yep.
And I had to pay a bunch of money to get them to work.
And it took a few people scanning it for them to tell us. Like, it was like a...
It was like the third
middle
or fourth
of the
person.
Day, yeah.
Of the first, it was the middle of the day of the third day of the show, and they were like, "Hey, your QR code's not working." But it was working the day before. We know that. It just stopped working on that day because that was when the 14 days were up. But it was annoying. It was like, I wish I had known.
But it made a big difference, and that was really cool. End all be all, the show ended up not being great.
It was okay. It hit our metric for okay.
Okay. For what I spent for this show, it should have been a lot better than okay.
Yeah.
This was my most expensive show.
Yep.
And so after, and we were exhausted. I mean, this was my first show of the year, and you kind of get out of practice and out of sync with what you do. Yep. So it was just, it was a little just, it took a while to get our feet back underneath us.
Right. The show ran smooth. 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
From 10 to 8, which means we were there no later than 9, and we left no earlier than like 8:30.
Right.
So we were there for almost 12 hours every day. It's
a long day, and it's a long day on your feet, and even the chairs, if you bring chairs, they get uncomfortable. Like it starts to hurt. It does something to your body doing shows that are that long. Yeah. But
we were at this show. It was an okay show, had our ups, had our downs. But we were like, you know what? Let's spend some time here. Let's go and visit this place that I used to go to when I was a kid, growing up with my family on vacation.
Ben had talked about it last year. We were thinking about doing it last year, and we didn't plan accordingly. And if I'm going to do the show again, you're allowed to set up 2 days beforehand. I will do that next year and take the extra day because it's so long. But so we stayed in the hotel for an extra night, and we went to Assateague Island to see the wild ponies because it was like a half hour away from where the show was. And I have never been, and it was incredible. It was so great. It was so cool. We actually drove down to the Virginia side too because it's one island, but there's 2 separate herds of Maryland and Virginia. And I wasn't upset. I was concerned we weren't going to see ponies at all because everybody kept saying, oh, it's hit or miss if you're going to see them or not. So I was worried that we weren't going to see them. I found out that the one that greets you at the front that's by himself, it has a herd. It's just blind. It's old. So it knows its area, so it doesn't want to go hunting on the rest of the island with the rest of the ponies, but they come back to it at nighttime.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
But people kept saying, oh, it's hit or miss on whether or not you'll see them. We literally were crossing the bridge to get onto the island, and there was a horse 100 feet away.
there.
Like,
Right
it was
there.
right there. Like,
Right
I hadn't even finished getting off the bridge, and it was right there.
And so it was so great. I FaceTimed my mom so she could see them too.
They tell you when you're there not to get closer than 40 feet away from the horses. Or the ponies, sorry. They are ponies, they are not horses. Well, I mean, they are horses, but they're ponies specifically. But so, they tell you not to get within 40 feet of the ponies. Which, there's no fences.
Right.
There's no nothing.
Now, if you go to the Virginia side, there is a fence, and they're like 100 feet away, and there's no way that they're getting anywhere close to you.
Right.
On the Maryland side, they came right up to you, and you're supposed to keep backing away. But there were
and
some
we kept
points.
backing away. There were a couple points where you had a pony in front of you, you had a pony to your left, a pony to your right, and you were backed up against, like,
the building.
a building or a car, or it's like, well, they're 10 feet away from me and I can't go anywhere.
And it was also mating season, so they were a little feisty. We saw a whole fight break out on the beach between some of the ponies. It was a little aggressive.
But it was so cool.
And they had, like, the pony police come out, too, because there was one family that kept trying to go up and pet the ponies, and they were ponies were...
They were escorted off the property.
By
property, I mean the national
They
park.
were, but what I'm saying is that the ponies were getting aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, they were not getting the hint to get away from the ponies.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then we saw one that was pregnant.
Yep.
She was real pregnant. And then it
Super
turns out,
pregnant.
like, 2 or 3 days after we left, she had the foal, which was so cute.
Yeah. But so we'll put some of the pictures and some of the videos.
I did already. You could see it in the vlog recap
then
of the.
check out the vlog recap.
Yeah, check out the vlog because I put all of them at the end of the vlog because I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
So that is it for this market recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Comment, subscribe. Visit us at crochetvision.com.
What he said.
Check it out.
Bye, guys.